Technology advances continue for restaurants as they are trying many different approaches to address labor shortages, as well as create better customer experiences. But are some of these innovations leaving a bad taste for some customers? We'll dive into that topic next on Today in Tech. Hi, everyone. I'm Keith Shaw. Welcome to Today in Tech. My guest today is Michael Atkinson. He is the founding CEO of Bailiwick Ventures, a restaurant technology startup studio that invests, creates, builds, and supports a growing portfolio of restaurant technology startups. As a former restaurant owner, operator, and advocate for transformative food and restaurant technologies, Michael advises restaurant brands, private equity funds, and technology companies on several technology strategies. And last year, Michael was named one of the restaurant industry's most influential restaurant technology experts by the nation's Restaurant News. Welcome, Michael.
Great. Thanks, Keith. Good to be here.
I mean, I'm amongst restaurant royalty.
Yes.
So let's just kind of jump in. Are more restaurants these days investing in technology than maybe they have in previous years or decades? You know, is this more of an evolution, or is it sort of just or are they reacting to certain conditions? Like I mentioned in my intro, with labor shortages and maybe post-pandemic kind of reactions. Why are we seeing this jump in innovation and technology?
Well, it's a great question because it's like deferred maintenance. I mean, the restaurant operators have always been slow to adopt technology, no different than many other industries, but restaurant historically have been slow to adopt and slow to adapt. And part of that is just the margins that the restaurants usually have. Historically, they've invested less than 1% of sales in restaurant technology. Then pandemic scared the hell out of everybody. And there was a lot of catch up. So in 2020 and 2021, that nearly doubled. Where it should be, from my perspective, and now I may be biased because I'm an investor in restaurant technology companies, it should be between 2.5% and 3%. It's really necessary. And to be relevant and competitive today, you absolutely have to invest in technology and embrace it. Right. Now, obviously, I don't know if you did the unintentional pun in terms of restaurants have to catch up, but sorry about that. So they were rushing towards innovation sort of as a survival instinct, right? Because of the pandemic, they couldn't have people in restaurants. So that's when you started seeing things like curbside delivery and a lot more takeout and pickup and things like that. Is that where you saw it? Or as we're now leaving, the people coming back into restaurants, is it that they recognize we have to keep up with this technology in order to make the customer experience better? Or in some cases, labor shortages? Because you can't find restaurant workers. Yeah, for sure. I mean, what they've done as a benefit of investing in technology is become smarter. Years past, it's been somebody else's problem. Let's send it to the IT department. Let's get some young, smart college grad who knows something about this stuff and put it on their desk. It's forced operators to really become more acquainted with technologies, both front of the house technologies that service the guest, as well as management productivity software, back of house software. So because they're smarter about it, they're more receptive to, leaning into, new technologies that solve and address automation problems. I mean, you spoke before, labor is a big issue. But I'll tell you, a lot of things haven't changed, Keith. Labor has been an issue since I was an operator. Okay. I opened my first restaurant when I was 25. Labor was a hassle then. Guest satisfaction was a hassle then. So what we're trying to do is build technologies in place that help automate and strengthen the relationship with guests. And operators have finally figured out that it's necessary. It's just as necessary as a POS system, a data management system, a reservation system. But shocking to me still in 2020, how many restaurant operators had to catch up with others and install online ordering solutions to
generate business online. It's startling to me that wasn't something that was table stakes in every restaurant.
Yeah, I think the local pizza place that we order from pretty much every week. I think after the pandemic hit, went right to that online ordering system, and now everybody's got it. So I think that was at least one of the innovations that happened. Does this happen more in a lot of the innovations that you're seeing? Does it happen more with the quick service restaurant, which we call fast food sometimes, or is it more of the sit down in dining room restaurants? And then is it more large chains versus small mom and pop type operations? Where do you see most of the at least the new stuff that is being tried out?
Yeah, it's really not segmented.
Okay.
Whether you're fine dining or quick casual, like a Chipotle, or fast food, which is a quick serve like the Taco Bell or a McDonald's. The larger chains, those QSR companies are the larger brands. So they've embraced technology more readily and have more capital to invest in it. So it's really the small independents that have benefited from these technologies that have been built for the enterprise that now are available to independents. So they're able to, technology is in many ways democratizes everything. So it enables small independent operators to have the same tools that a large, chain would have. When a large chain could be casual, it could be Denny's, it could be Red Robin, but the amount of capital that is required to engage in technology is more than a lot of independent operators want to spend. So if you look at the industry as a whole, it's an $800 billion a year industry just in the U.S. And there's 1 million restaurants if you include cafeterias and both catering companies and whatnot. But 70% of those operators, 70% of those 1 million restaurants are independent operators. 30% are enterprise or chains that drive most of the sales, but the mass is all independents. So they've had to really come to the table and realize that for them to be competitive, they have to invest in technology and be smarter about it.
Yeah. Okay. So let's talk about some of the technologies that we've sort of seen in the space. This sort of entered our radar screen because of some of the news that happened recently with voice artificial intelligence types of applications that were being tested at drive-throughs, and there were several TikTok videos that went viral that showed just how amazingly awful some of these things were, and that always kind of gets my radar up whenever I see something that was just so horrendously bad. The first thing I thought is like, why did they ever try this? Like, so in terms of voice AI, why would, and again, this was, one of them was McDonald's, pretty high profile restaurant company. Why would they try this? What's the reasoning behind a restaurant going with a voice AI system at a drive-through, which typically has bad audio to begin with? So, can you explain sort of that experiment or other restaurants that you've seen that have tried this sort of like AI customer order thing?
Yeah, this AI customer order thing is a good way to describe it. It's voice is hard. Voice is very, very tricky.
Yeah.
And the use cases that restaurant operators have embraced are primarily two. One is for drive-through. The other one is for call center AI or conversational AI to enable you to reduce the number or eliminate completely human operators who can actually take, the order. Drive-through is very tricky. I'm an investor in two different voice technology companies, and there's not enough PhDs that I can hire to make it easy to execute on the drive-through. It's very, very hard. There's a lot of training. But if it's one-on-one, Keith, if you drive through a fast food restaurant, a lot of times you order a number one, right, or a number two. Yep. Those are pretty benign situations. Or if you don't order it by number, you may order kind of the same thing: burger, fries, chocolate shake. That's pretty straightforward for a bot to understand. But that's a one-to-one relationship. Where it gets tricky is when there's a car full of people. Yeah. And there's kids in the back and the dog's barking. Yep. And Junior is ordering onion rings and changes his mind, and he wants fries and he wants a chocolate shake, but now he wants a vanilla shake. there's chaos in the car.
It's like you're describing. It's like you're describing my kids, Michael. Michael, this is exactly what happens every time when I go to the drive-thru. Like by the time we get up to the drive-thru, they still don't know what they want, and then I have to, and I put my order in. I've got 3 picky eaters who don't like onions and pickles on the car, and then I got to do a plain burger, and then someone wants something that's off of the. It's just a nightmare. I can only imagine how an AI would respond to that.
It's hard. It takes training. AI is not a plug and play situation. If you install a reservation system, for example, that's pretty mature. It's pretty plug and play. But voice requires training. The AI needs to be trained. The engineers that build the AI and write the code need to understand the ordering sequence and the order flow. It's just a lot of time, and it'll happen. I'm confident voice for ordering through a drive-through will happen and work, but it's a few years away. I mean, McDonald's tried it. McDonald's is impatient.
Yeah. Are they also sort of like that decision tree sort of AI response? And like, would they benefit from some of the new generative AI technologies that we're seeing, like ChatGPT and things like that? Or is it more about just getting the system to understand what people are saying?
Yeah, I think it's a little bit of both. Yeah. I mean, ChatGPT is everybody's new shiny penny, and yeah, it's a new toy, and it's a little scary, but it's also pretty incredible what it can do. It'll make it easier for the ASR, the automated speech recognition, to understand, and the response back and forth. But there's a big line between IVR, which is interactive voice response. That's old technology where it's you speak and it responds to that, where it trains your voice. Yeah. That's really old school technology. ChatGPT, any generative AI, is going to help the process, but it's still conditional upon the bot listening to you. So it has to interpret your speech and know what it means. And that's difficult to do. There's only a few companies out there that have had mediocre success, and it'll be quite some time. McDonald's, like I said, is impatient. They spent a lot of money buying a couple Silicon Valley companies. Yep. They end up selling them to Watson at IBM because they just got tired of dealing with it and said, let's just outsource it. But there's a few out there that are startups that may run out of capital before they get it right, unless the restaurant operators, invest in those technologies and are patient. But it'll happen.
Are the incentives so big that that's why they're pushing for it? Like, does the benefit eventually outweigh sort of the costs from doing it in a different way?
Yeah, that's a great question. On both sides, it has to be economically viable for the operator to invest the time and the money and have patience, but it also has to be economically viable for the restaurant, technology company as well. But yes, and labor, it gets back to labor. Labor not only, is an issue, but finding people. Yeah. I mean, you can go to any restaurant in any street. I don't know about worldwide, but probably in the United States, and you can knock on the door and say, "Are you hiring?" The answer is going to be affirmative. So there's always a need for people. And then training people. And then there's the old, school thought of, and which is true, robots don't take breaks, they don't need vacation. You can train them to be exact, in a word flow. So there's a little bit of, consumers have to say, okay, let me help. I'll buy into this. Mm-hmm. It's not static. It can't be just the operators throwing a bot in your face and you expect it to be just like a human. There's got to be a little forgiving here. And that's why, it's funny to watch on TikTok. I've laughed as well. And there's some really funny Scottish elevator jokes out there that are very amusing. Yeah. But I think over time, consumers are going to learn how to deal with it, and the operators are going to get better at it, and the technology is going to learn. So it's not tomorrow. My crystal ball, at least 5 years before it's going to be something that you see more and more in drive-thrus.
All right, so let's jump into some other technologies that restaurants are using and innovating in, and just give me sort of your thoughts on whether this is sort of just an experimental phase, or is this something that will kind of innovate and expand and evolve down the road and this will be life in 10 years. We'll have these things. So let's jump into drone technology for deliveries. There was a company called Zipline that made a big splash with a new drone that can quickly deliver food, via drones. We've seen a couple of other local projects, like I think Taco Bell out in California was trying this for a couple of different things. Is this something that's going to be viable, and we're all going to get our foods delivered by, or our pizza, for example, delivered by drone as opposed to a teenager with a fast car?
Yeah, I mean, this is the Jetsons, man. I mean, I saw the same video you did probably with Zipline. It's pretty cool. I mean, it drops this cable and it puts it exactly on your doorstep. That will happen. It's happening now. It's proven itself to be somewhat reliable, but it's a train wreck waiting to happen too. But it's going to get better. It will happen. It just makes sense. Self-driving cars. Uber has had a plan for 10 years to get rid of the drivers and just have cars.
Yeah.
I mean, everybody has these plans, and I think it'll happen. But it takes really good innovation and a lot of patience and a lot of trial. But it's hard enough to get consumers to embrace technology that is basic. Like QR codes have been around since World War II, but it took a pandemic to get them to force to use it. Now they kind of like it. It's pretty handy. Every time you look at a TV, or there's a commercial, an article in a magazine, there's a QR code. It's a brilliant piece of technology that drives you right to where you want the customer to go.
Right.
All these will happen. But it's going to take some time. My guess, again, 5 to 10 years before it's something that you see on a regular basis.
I think I saw a QR code for the first time that gave me their updated menu. Is that where you're seeing them in restaurants?
Well, restaurants, what's really interesting about restaurants, they're sold technology by salespeople, not necessarily sold technology by restaurant operators that became salespeople. And my big question is like kiosks. Everybody raced towards kiosks that you can self-order. You're walking to a restaurant and you order. Those things are filthy, number one. And people have to figure out how to use them. But they solve a problem. They reduce the number of counter people you have. So it addresses a labor issue, and it makes it easier for consumers who want that type of technology just to bypass talking to anybody. I mean, who picks up their phone anymore? I don't. I prefer text messaging and email. Right. I don't want to talk to people. So it's the same thing. They have to embrace it. But if you think about QR codes, all the kiosk does is take you to their menu, an interactive menu. If you take your cell phone and click on a QR code and it takes you to a dynamic menu, like an online ordering menu, it does the same thing as the kiosk. So theoretically, all a restaurant has to do is have QR codes on the walls and eliminate the kiosks, and they save themselves hundreds of thousands of dollars in investment in capital expense.
Yeah,
and you have the same thing.
So the QR code, the QR code that I saw was actually at a sit-down restaurant. It was a P.F. Chang's. So we were sitting down
at the table.
Yeah, and so we were sitting down. I'm expecting to get a big menu, with all their. And again, I know what I was going to order anyway. I don't necessarily need menus anymore unless it's a brand new restaurant I've ever been at. But they're like the server handed me a piece of paper with a QR code. Now I have to do work. Now I have to instead of just opening a menu and looking at it. Now I get on my phone, I take a picture of it. This thing pops up, and and then to your next point, where the mobile phone is going to become sort of the point of sale device. It's a lot, and maybe this is just because I'm an older guy and I'm set in my ways, but like the phone and the apps, most of these apps stink. Like they're just, it's forgotten my login, and then I have to remember a password or thumbprint or Face ID or whatever to try to get into it. And at that point, I'm just like, I just want to go up and order with a human at that point. Is that just me being cranky old guy, or is that a bigger problem?
Yeah, I think you're a cranky old guy. So, but
nice.
There's a lot of cranky old guys out there and old women. So it's learned behavior, but you also are in control of your ordering experience, right? So if you can order from a phone and not just look at it like a PDF, if you can actually order from a phone, you can also pay from that phone.
Yeah.
So you're in control of that check. I love it at airports because I ask for a check as soon as I order at an airport because I don't want to wait. I want to be able to pay for it and run. So if you think about it as you're in control of your dining experience, now it doesn't work in all restaurants. At a fine dining restaurants, I don't want to see a QR code anywhere. I want service. I want a menu. I want to interact and engage with the server. But if I'm at a fast casual or casual dining restaurant or even a fast food restaurant, a quick serve, if I can control my dining experience, I can order on my own terms, pay on my own terms, get it and go. I don't need to talk to people. In fact, I don't want to. I just want to order, pay, and go. That's where it's a good idea.
I think I am leaning more towards that it's probably just me being cranky because my wife has just loves the app with the kids now too because they can she can order ahead and then just pick it up sort of at the restaurant instead of waiting in a long drive-through line and things like that. Like that. Also, there was another interesting part that I saw that I think McDonald's was doing this and they're using geofencing technology because again, my concern about ordering via the app is that when, like if I place the order, I don't know exactly when they're going to make that food. And so you see, if you go into a restaurant, you see a lot of bags that are up on the shelves for people to pick up. And usually, sometimes it's for the Uber drivers, sometimes it's actual for customers who want to pick it up. And I just don't know how long that food has been sitting there. So that's why I'm a little hesitant. But now they're saying that geofencing with the phone, it can detect if you're within 3 miles of the restaurant or 3 minutes. I think they use sort of GPS technology to figure out how long it's going to take you to get there. And that's when they'll start making it. Is that happening in all of the apps now, or is it just specific to a certain restaurant?
No, it's geofencing's been around for a long time.
Yeah.
But it's only part of certain apps. If you want to add geofencing to improve the guest experience, and that's the only reason you'd want to, also manage your order flow. A lot of restaurants, what's not known is a lot of restaurants throttle their orders on an online order. They have 50 seats in the restaurant. All of a sudden, they have 200 orders coming online.
Yeah, that's
like having an extra, 25 seats. So a lot of restaurants turn off or pause their online ordering so they can catch up. So it's the same thing with geofencing. You can plan a little bit better on it's 3 minutes away or 5 minutes away, and so you're able to plan a little bit better in your order sequence and take care of some people that are in the restaurant, and you have 3 to 5 minutes before they get here.
Right.
So you can move your tickets around, if you will. It's about there's two things that technology does. It's supposed to improve the guest experience and engage with the customer in meaningful ways, whether it's loyalty or notifications or rewards. And the other thing it does improve productivity. Productivity is huge, and that includes shortage of labor, but also includes the margins are so slim in restaurants these days that even with the hike in prices because of inflation, they need every penny.
Yeah.
And if they can improve processes and improve the flow, be better organized in the back of the house, that just earns them money.
Yeah. And then there's one other thing you want to talk about too. It's data management, and you mentioned that you're seeing a shift of control from the point of sale to centralized data management systems. Can you explain sort of what that means in a restaurant scenario?
Yeah. Well, it's kind of a dream, because the POS, the way the industry works, and it's just not just restaurants, it's retail, it's everything.
Okay.
The vendors have become very controlling, and it's really divided between either the point of sale terminal is the center of the universe. I look at a tech stack like a solar system. So the POS is like the sun, and they're saying, okay, this helps you manage transactions. But then they said, let's increase the amount that we can generate per location in annual revenue. So they started adding modules like reservation systems, online ordering solutions, loyalty, rewards.
Yep.
Makes good business sense, but they're in control of your tech stack. The other side is the accounting systems are at the center. They're the sun. So in either way, you've given up control of your technology stack, basically your business, to one or primarily one vendor. What's new and novel, and if you ask anybody who's an operator this question, it's almost rhetorical. Are you in control of your tech stack? And most of them think they are. until we have a few words, and then they realize that they're not in control of their tech stack. The POS vendor is, or their accounting system of record is.
Yep.
So what's changing is open architectures in all these different systems allow you to integrate. Everybody wants to have all their systems integrated centrally, which makes perfect sense. You want to aggregate all the data centrally. But if you're not aggregating all of your data, then it doesn't matter. And if you're a POS, all you're aggregating is transaction data, not marketing data, not guest data, not employee data. So what if there was a way you can benefit from all the integrations centralized? Instead of that Sun being a POS or an accounting system, that Sun is now a data management system or a data lake. And around that lake is a data visualization system. So all you're doing is pulling in marketing data, customer data, employee data, social media data, transaction data, credit card data into a central database, and then asking questions of those data. And that's where ChatGPT is going to be really exciting, because you can ask, how do I get, you can use voice, or you can type, how do I get a 5% uplift in my sales on a Tuesday lunch? And with all those data, it might say, make sure Keith is not on section 1. Open your doors a half an hour
Keith is a horrible waiter.
And take hamburgers off the menu, right? So without centralizing data, then you can't benefit from all these actionable insights that restaurant operators absolutely need. You do not want to cede control to a vendor.
Yeah, that seems like a lot of that seems like that's a big kind of restaurant chain, enterprise level sort of retail chain innovation. Like that doesn't seem like that's going to get down to my local pizza shop, right?
Yeah, it can.
It can,
but it can't. It can't. Absolutely, it can. These systems are enterprise grade, but like I said before, you don't design systems just for the enterprise. You make sure they work at the enterprise, but if there's a way to democratize it and bring it down to the out of those 700,000 restaurants that I mentioned before, that's where your money is.
So you think that we'll see that trickle down? That will it trickle down, or is it just going to be a small, innovative company that knows how to handle these small little local pizza places or other restaurants?
Well, what I just described is fairly complex. But the architecture is there to do this. So I would suspect within 3 to 4 years at the latest, this will be available not only enterprise-wide, but also system-wide, available to any restaurant. In this case, they choose the systems they want. So if a reservation system comes with a POS and they don't want it, they can plug another reservation system in, or plug another online ordering solution, plug and play. As their business grows and changes, they can remain nimble. And this is kind of a theme that the pandemic created. Is now I'm a grocerant today, or I'm on online ordering only. I'm not open for business. I need to remain nimble and flexible. This construct, this architecture, is necessary for restaurants to remain nimble and competitive. And I'm confident that within a very short period of time, within 3 to 4 years, this will not only be available as an option for enterprise, but also independent operators.
All right. So out of all of these technologies that we've sort of discussed on the show, what out of these, which one are you most excited about, or is there something that might be coming down the pike that is going to be exciting? And then give me an example of something that is just that you look at and you just kind of go, okay, this is dumb, or this is not going to work. I'll give you mine if you don't want to. If you don't want to, alienate anybody in your industry.
So I'm very hopeful about voice technology, particularly now because GPT is generative is going to make it easier and seamless and more user friendly. Anything with voice. Voice is the new UI. Period. It's the new HTML.
Yeah.
So voice is so natural. Once voice gets a little bit better, and operators embrace the horror of voice, voice will be ubiquitous, right? So data management is kind of like my new pet. I mean, data is everything. Data can deliver prescriptive insights and make a restaurant that does $1 million operate functionally like a restaurant that does $10 million. That's huge for the industry. Some things that I think are stupid.
I didn't say stupid. You could say goofy if you want. I don't. I'll say stupid on my behalf. All right, which one? What's the idea?
I'm a big fan of technology and the innovators that are out there. They're slugging it out, trying to invent something new. But there's some of the things are just old. I'm not a fan of point of sale systems. I never have been.
Okay.
I'm really not a fan of legacy systems that do not open easily their architecture to innovative third parties. Like, so for example, there's one of the companies out there is called VoiceStar.ai, and it's an inventory management system using voice. It makes it very difficult, makes it very easy for a restaurant operator to do inventory in minutes instead of hours. It's really pretty amazing. It's voice plus AI.
Yeah.
But it's difficult to get integrated into back office systems because they have a gate. They don't want anybody pushing data towards them. So
right.
it slows down innovation and adoption because the legacy systems are gates. And so I'm not a fan of legacy systems, and I can name a few. I mean, it's, NCR, anything NCR does or Oracle does with Micros, those are two systems right now that have been around for a long time. Functionally, they're great.
Yeah.
They're workhorses. But their philosophy of putting gates between new technology and innovation and their own need to control the tech stack are things that people like me have a problem with.
See, I thought this is the one that I was going to jump in with, which I thought you were going to say would be robot waiters, like those mobile robots that serve plates.
That's so bad. That's so bad. I've taken it out of my memory. I mean, there's a place for robots.
The bar is so low there that you forgot about it, right?
I forgot about it.
Yeah.
No, God bless them for trying, but as soon as I saw that, it was like, there's no way that's going to be adopted. And frankly, I'm shocked that Chili's even gave it a trial. But there are places for robots back of the house, cobots. But some of the stuff they're doing in the back of the house doesn't make sense. I have a good friend who's a mechanical engineer and he's brilliant, who's building an automated French fry maker. And it's not, you don't see the robotic hands. It's really next generation thinking. So like anything else, I mean, we started with horse and buggies, right? We had cars, and then we had more than one color of a car. So robots, this is just early stage, but I think robots are going to have a big place in back of the house or in certain station robots, but never in front of the house. I think that's bad.
All right, Michael, thank you very much for being on the show today.
You bet. It's been fun. Thanks,
all right.
Keith.
Thanks. That's all the time we have for today's episode. Don't forget to like the video, subscribe to the channel, and add any comments that you have below. Join us every week for new episodes of Today in Tech. I'm Keith Shaw. Thanks for watching.